I go to a trailer in South Jackson where a guy is cooking meth, and he tells me that I need to get my life together.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Breaking Down Addiction, a podcast by national addiction specialists. You got Johnny Phillip here. I'll be your host, and we have a very special guest today, my friend William Drury. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
We've been friends for a few years now. We'll get into all that. Much respect for you, and I love all the golf we've been playing.
Absolutely.
But to get down to it, if you were sitting across from yourself in active addiction, what would you say to that, William?
Hadn't thought about that much. At that point, I wasn't aware of much of anything. I remember at the time I was Googling ways to get off of opiates, like reading them long reviews. It didn't seem like as accessible. But
Were you seeing that treatment was an option? Or
I think I was trying to bypass that option. Like I had one example, which we'll talk about later, of treatment. So was trying to bypass that. How can I do it at home? But what I would tell myself is that what I felt at that time was basically unworthy of a good life, and I'd also felt like I'd done too much harm, like too much water under the bridge.
burned too many bridges as well?
Burned too many bridges.
You were a lost cause.
Right. There's no way out for you. So I would tell myself there is a way out. I would tell myself I do deserve a good life, and that everything I've done, no matter the circumstance, those relationships can be restored. You can right those wrongs, and you're worthy of being loved. And a few other hard actions that I would, but because I didn't believe that for a long time. I did not believe that I could have the life I have today at all.
I feel that in my soul and in my core.
Yeah, absolutely.
You started using at 13 years old.
Yeah.
And you exuded symptoms of addiction, like actual, like full-blown addiction at 18.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that progression. Like when you first started using, those in-between years, what that looked like, and then when you were 18, when you were actually addicted, like what happened there?
Yeah. So I think my story is very similar to most. Is it started off as a curiosity, something that, it's always been there, a little fear. Like I call them lines in the sandbox, and that could be the drugs that I chose to experiment with, right? Or the things that I've done in life was always this like line in the sandbox, and I was afraid to cross it. But once I did, typically enjoyed crossing that line. It was fun, right? And
you're partying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was having a good time, and I had no idea the consequences that were to come. So my first choice of something to do was, of course, marijuana, weed, and I can remember the first time I did it, I'd basically bought it from a friend, went home, tried to figure out how to do this by myself, and just went back in the house.
Try to smoke a bowl or
Yeah. We had this old pipe that was like probably 50 years old is what it looked like, right? Looked like it'd been buried in the dirt. And here I am,
it's like
thinking
from Lord of the Rings.
Yes, dude. It had like a carve out of like some type of man on it, but I remember trying to do that, right? And it could have been weed, it could have not been weed. I have no idea what I smoked, but I know that the first time I didn't really feel anything. I just thought the rush was insane because I'm hiding something. I'm with a friend. We're both doing this, so it was just exciting. The second time I did it, was a little bit different. I went from that time to the second time somebody was like, I'm going to show you how to smoke weed,
And
right?
I'm going to get you actually high.
You're getting high, yeah. So we were at these apartment complexes that had left storage units open. Okay, so me and this buddy of mine from back home go into this storage unit, and there's no telling how much weed we smoked in a closed-off room in the dark, basically. And I remember coming out of that room and seeing the world in a whole different view. I had to go home. Street lights came on, and Mama was calling, and I remember I was way out of my body. I didn't know how to have a conversation with her.
Was it you were having troubles forming sentences, saying words?
I was so
All of
scared.
it?
Yeah, I was just so scared. I knew I
Fear.
had done something wrong, right? Yeah, fear. And my mom did the best she could, but we never really had that talk. And I just remember feeling weird, very short. Let's get to the room. And I can't tell you what happened after that. But the one thing that did happen was I got away with it, you know?
And that probably felt pretty good.
Yeah. I'm
You're
like,
I
okay.
could probably get away with this a lot more often.
Exactly. Yeah. Am I cool now? Am I accepted?
Right.
You know, by these people that, looking back on it, like it shouldn't have mattered. But when you went to school in those times, these were the people who had all the attention. You know, these were the people who you didn't mess with. You wanted to be around, right? Like they were cool. So I thought, well, at least I'm in with this guy now. So maybe school won't be as tough anymore or
Boring.
boring.
Yeah.
Right. Living life on the edge. So that was fun. And meanwhile, you know, I have just, up until this point, I went to a Christian private school. So,
When you were 13?
right. I raced BMX for a long time. And the crowds were different. You know, it was always this weird thing that I've talked about a lot when I share my story is that on one side of me, I'm at this school where everyone goes to church. And they sit at the table and they have family dinners and they do all these things, right, that I wasn't.
There's conservative values.
Exactly. And we weren't doing that at my home. Not to say it was a bad home, but it was way more laxed. And it seemed like I was really not fitting in with that side. So on the other side of it, you've got this like reckless, rebellious group of kids that do whatever they want, right? Earrings, you know.
The dirt bikers.
Yeah, 16-year-olds with tattoos, you know, pink hair, blue hair, black hair, painted fingernails. Like this is
like
cool.
punk rock for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, just like that. So that was cool, right? So I tended to fit in a little bit more with them. Well, guess what they're doing? They're smoking weed too. So it only makes sense that like I continue this lifestyle. Couple of years go by, and then that's when I say, okay, we're going to try alcohol. Because up until that point, I don't know if anybody else has related to that, but you tried it, and I was like, there's no way I'm drinking this. That's the worst tasting stuff I've ever had. You know, like, this is stupid. And I remember it was me and a friend and another girl in the area of Jackson. And late one night, we sneak out, and she brings a bottle of champagne out from her dad's, like, wine cellar or whatever.
What a first thing to drink.
Yeah, some champagne,
Yeah.
right? Something that actually tasted good. So we could stomach this. However, we didn't know how to get the bottle open. So
I didn't think about that.
right.
Yeah.
So we bust this bottle on the side of a driveway. I wake up the next morning. I know I blacked out that night. I know the first time that I gave drinking a chance, I blacked out. Wake up the next day, lips busted, tongue is cut. We're drinking glass, basically, because of the busted bottle on the driveway. And I just remember thinking that was awesome. Like, that feeling I got was amazing.
Yeah.
And we've got to do that again. Like, we have to.
And maybe try to figure out how to open the bottle.
Yeah, we're going to stick to a can next time. And that's what we did. And my childhood, something that stands out was there was a friend who had moved from Texas to my neighborhood. and his parents were super cool, right? They were allowing us to smoke cigarettes and drink. And I remember his mom telling us, she said, Will, I did exactly what you're doing when I was your age. And she said, I cannot remember about 6 years of my life. And I thought, that's wild. There's no way that's true, for one. Mm-hmm. And looking back on it, I hardly remember the next 6 years of my life. It was spent still doing semi-good at school. For some reason, I think it's because of the Christian school, the early foundation of, like, academics, where I was able to, like, comprehend the stuff they were saying.
Totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, pass the test, you know. But on the weekends, I was the one who was, you know, Friday night, as soon as it's time, we're going somewhere, we're buying some alcohol, we're getting some cigarettes, we're finding a dirt field, and we're going to drink, and we're going to have a good time. And I want to say pretty much every time I did that, I blacked out and I got sick from alcohol. You know, I couldn't control how much I put in my body, and I just wanted more and more.
It's like this woman that told you this thing. It was like divine intervention.
Yeah.
So it was bound to happen.
But I do remember that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, because I don't remember anything else. She was right. But that's what we did, and it never really affected what I thought was a big priority at the time. I was still able to have good grades, but I was getting in those situations to, like, having a son now, looking back on it, like, it had to be stressful on my mom. You know, she's getting called up to the bowling alley. She's getting called to the movie theater. Hey, this guy's in the parking lot and he's drunk.
There's a lot of trouble brewing with you at this time.
Yeah.
And now there's a kid entering the picture.
Right.
What were you first, before we get into all that, what were you first showing withdrawal or addiction symptoms to? Like, because it was weed and alcohol. Mm-hmm. By 18, what was it?
So at that point, it stayed weed and alcohol. So the biggest components to my earlier life of trauma was the fact that I had a best friend of mine die in a DUI accident. Yeah. His name was JR. And his granddad, this will come into play later on, his granddad owned a tow truck service. And I was 15, maybe about to be 16, and I get the call the next day that JR had been hit by a drunk driver. But he was still out. He was 16 years old, and he was still out. It was like something that happened at 3 a.m., okay?
I'm sorry about
that. Yeah, it was tough. That was my first big loss, you know, that I really didn't know what to do.
He was 16. How old are you?
I was 15.
Okay.
I was 15.
That's a lot to handle for a young man.
Yeah. Didn't understand. I go back and look at pictures, and I remember we made these T-shirts that all they said on it was why, you know, and that was the question we asked. Because, like, at that age, I have no life experience, you know. My theory around what had happened at that moment was God just took one of my friends from me.
Where did that put you at with God? Because I had that happen to one of my friends when I was in high school. Not hit by a DUI driver. That's a whole different story. But he died when he was 16, and I had big issues with God at that point.
I did too. It questioned my trust. It questioned his love, right?
Yeah.
Like, this has not just impacted me, and I'm not trying to be selfish about it because I've seen what it did to his family. It tore them apart. JR was a very lovable person, a very likable person. And at 16 years old, here he's gone.
This meaningless accident.
Exactly.
Yeah, wrong place at the wrong time.
And the details of it were even worse. You know, this guy shouldn't have. It was just a lot, right? So there was a group of 4 of us, and I'll say the other guy's name, and his birthday is actually today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Nick Melton. So when it came time for the funeral, me, Nick, and the other guy, it was a group of 4 of us, were pallbearers. So
that's intense, dude.
yeah, yeah, we're still in high school. This shook our world, right? Because that's what we did, and wherever we went, whether it was a football game or a field party or playing Halo, right? Like it's us.
Yeah.
And you got this missing link, and when that happens, everything's shaken. Not to mention that we're all drinking, right, heavily, and smoking weed, and not living just what the life we should have been. But now there comes this like trauma aspect, and like not understanding why this happened, and what that did for all of us is it dove us like deeper into the alcohol, deeper.
And you're starting to like shake and have really bad hangovers at 18.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the other component of this is a year later, Nick is leaving the house party, and according to what his mom had told us, she would come in sometimes, and you know, me and you were a little older, but he was on a desktop computer, and he would just have JR's picture pulled up, right, and he would be looking at it and crying, like that's how tough it was for him. Well, he actually himself died from a DUI accident. He was driving intoxicated, heavily intoxicated, and wrecked. So now it's Nick too.
So you lost 2 out of the 3
Yep.
friends you had at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And my solution then, of course, was just give me more alcohol and kind of leave me alone. So that's when the drinking became heavy, and that's when this little twist of me having a child happened. Nick, 2 months after he'd passed away, there was a girl who had told everybody she's pregnant with Nick's baby, right? All right, so the crazy part of all this is I am convinced I'm going to die soon. It's a weird thing, I know, but just going through what I just went through, I'm like, Will, you're probably not going to make it much longer because this is what you do.
I mean, you
And-
look at the statistics of you 4 guys, and I get it. When I was drinking a lot when I was younger, I didn't envision a long life for myself.
I couldn't. It was much easier to vision a death. And I thought, how cool is that there's a piece of Nick left behind? So I look at my girlfriend we'd been together for a while all through school, and I said, I think we need to have a kid. You know, so at 7, I'm 17, and she's 16, and we have a child on purpose. And
Were you 18 when you
when
had
he
Tyson?
was born? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turned 18. He was born in June of 2008. I just graduated high school. She's going into her senior year, and neither one of us have a clue of what we're doing. And,
Did this change the drinking or using for you, having Tyson?
yeah, so for that time it did. It lessened it a little, you know, because now there's nights where we're at her house and we're having to take care of a child. You know, on that night, normally her and I both would be out, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
Yeah. You're 18. It's your 18-year-old summer, you know?
A kid having a kid.
A kid having a kid consumed by alcohol, her too, you know, but her life trajectory was different, right? Because her parents kind of laid their foot down. This is for your best interest, and you may not agree with it, but we're moving. Yeah. So they moved about 4 hours away. And things happen in time, you know, sometimes at the right time, sometimes at the wrong time. Well, they moved. I'm resentful. I get hurt, and I get prescribed pain pills. I can't tell you the timeline, but this all happened in the same time frame.
Was this dirt bike related?
No, it was actually a tooth incident. Playing basketball, knocked my tooth out. Come to find out, I have to get a root canal. Go to get all this done. They're like, hey, we need to pull your wisdom teeth.
You guys playing prison rules or something?
Basically, bro. Yeah, it was intense. And they're like, hey, while you're here, you need to get your wisdom teeth pulled. Okay? So I don't really know what a hydrocodone is. Like, I may have crossed paths with them. But like I said, the line's in the sandbox, right? I was afraid to try anything outside. I don't know why. I was. And I can remember getting those pills and taking one of them and feeling the feeling, you know.
The same feeling that you felt with drinking, with weed.
Yeah. Just a little bit better, you know. Like that warm, fuzzy feeling, the one that quieted those voices inside my head, the one that allowed me to breathe. It took all anxiety away. It took a lot of fear away.
The warm coziness
of
the drug of your choice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I felt like as long as I have this, I'm okay. I just didn't know that there was a physical addiction tied to this pill. Mm-hmm. So they're living 4 hours away. I'm resentful, and I found something to make me feel better. So I'm probably going to do that every day.
Did you think at this point, like, they took my baby from me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a hard feeling for a grown-ass adult, none less an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That lost 2 friends as well.
Right.
So maybe this feeling of abandonment starts coming too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just turned again to whatever made me feel good, and the same thing, leave me alone. You know, I'm not hurting y'all. I'm only hurting myself. So it just got worse and worse.
So hydrocodone, what does that turn into?
Oxycodone, oxycodone.
Those were more accessible back then.
I had no idea the family tree, but I soon found out. Whatever was stronger, you know? What's stronger, what's cheaper, who's got whatever.
Are you mixing that with drinking and weed still at this point?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a no-holds-barred situation.
Right, right. It's every day I wake up. It was so accessible back then, and I'm doing things to get the money. But I was able to find it because in that day and time, I guess, you know, a lot of doctors were still prescribing it. It was everywhere.
And then you're finding it on the street and from buddies pretty easily, I'm sure.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just doing that more and more. And I guess at the time I did notice, I'm like, now it takes 2 to get to where I want, right? Now it's taking 3 to get to where I want.
You're developing a tolerance, but you're not realizing that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I had no clue. I had no clue how it felt to not have any. And then I did. And something's wrong. You know, I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm sick. And I'm 19 years old.
You're 19 and dope sick.
Dope sick. And have no clue that it's even called dope sick. You know, like I'm just like, but I knew that if I had a pill, it would all go away. So my only solution then is like, okay, well, you've got to be able to get these pills every single day. Now, mind you, during this time, I'm going to college and I'm dropping out, right? But the emphasis is not on the pills yet. That's just, it's there, and I know that I need it. But it's like everything else in life too, right? Like I'm just lost. My friends are staying in school. I'm not able to see my child now, and I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail for being caught with stuff.
With pills and weed and whatnot.
Right, and then what happens when you go to jail? You get put on probation. What happens when you get put on probation? Drug test. So now I'm like navigating this way of like not going back to jail, but also I'm on a drug that I need daily.
How do I use and not get caught?
Exactly. It's just crazy. All that at 19, right?
And you're in college at this point?
I went to NADC, dropped out, MTSU, dropped out. So I'm dropping out, you know. I'm getting accepted into these schools and I'm going to them, but then I'm not going to class. So
were you wanting to go to school, or was this to keep your parents happy, or was this to keep up with your friends? Or?
That's it. That's where they were, you know. They were either in Murfreesboro or they were in Nashville, right, or Knoxville. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of following them, which I believe they had a desire to go to school and be something. Mine wasn't. Mine was like, I just need to be around y'all, you know, or running from home. How can I get away from home? How can I get away from all this, like trying to block that out? So there we are. Right?
So 21, let's say around there, you get on methadone at this point. Why do you get on methadone? And is this because you're getting arrested on probation and busted again? And
I can't really remember how it happened, but I just remember the day I went to the clinic. So I talked a little bit about, like, I hadn't talked about it yet, but my dad, who was like very partially in my life, and my uncles. So all of them had a lot of experience in what I was dealing with. And I do remember one night just needing something. One of those nights where I just needed something.
And you're talking to them about this?
Yeah.
Your dad,
yeah.
uncles.
Do y'all have anything? You know, like, I'm sick. So one of them gives me a Suboxone. Okay. So I take that and I realize, like, okay, this helped. You know, this helped. I'm not sick. And then I'm like, hey, man, I need some more of that. And he's like, you should go to the clinic yourself. So somehow I've ended up at a methadone clinic.
Bro, stop taking my subs.
Yeah, exactly. So I end up at a methadone clinic. And
in Jackson?
Yeah, in Jackson. And I can remember walking in, man. You got to imagine, look back. I'm 20 years old, you know, 21 years old.
Looking rough.
Walking into
a methadone clinic, waiting in the waiting room with other people.
Right.
That are probably rough looking.
Right.
Yeah.
Years of abuse.
Are you looking at these people in the waiting room thinking, like, this could be me in 20 years?
I don't really know what I thought about when I looked at them, but I knew that it was something different. I felt very out of place.
Okay.
You know? And I'm also gauging my life off of my friends, and they're doing well, and here I am. Like, what? You know, and they were 10, 15, 20 years older than me. But I took the methadone, and I realized this is going to help.
Was there some hope then out of that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Finally some manageability. And it didn't feel good, and I wanted to keep it a secret, so some people knew close to me, but most people didn't. I was in recovery, you know. At that point, I was in recovery.
Were you going to meetings?
No, but I was speaking with a counselor at the clinic.
Okay.
You know.
Good on you at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I developed a good relationship with him, and then there was another woman that I would speak with, and they loved me, and it was great, you know, and I knew that was there every morning, you know, so I knew, like, a whole big weight was lifted off of me because of the lifestyle that I was living in order to not be sick at this point, and it felt good. So.
Are they in your life at all, in any capacity still?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the main counselor was the main counselor at my first treatment center. He had left jobs. So I walk in and I see him. And there's been so many, like, God winks in recovery like that. Wow. But he was there. And,
unbelievable.
I know. That was super cool. So during that time, I had so many ambitions. Like, I had so many dreams, and I'm a dreamer, you know, and I always just want to kind of shoot for the stars, right? Whatever it is, right?
What were they at that point?
So at that point, I wanted to be a physical therapist assistant. That was what I was going to go to school
Awesome
for.
profession.
I wanted to teach kids how to race BMX. Of course, the normal things: a home, a wife, good job, cool vehicle, like simple stuff. But my son at the time was 4.5 years old. And I haven't seen him since. My parents have been heavily involved with the life, but I understand. During that time, it was dark.
Right. And how long has it been since you've seen him at this point?
Before he turned 1 year old.
So 3.5 years.
Yep. Yep. And like I said, here I am. I haven't worked an honest day's work. I've been in and out of jail probably 15 times. Yeah. From 18 to 22, at least 15 times.
What were some of these charges?
Caught with drugs, violation of probation.
Okay.
Yeah. Over and over and over. Yeah.
Just repeat the cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so you see Tyson at this point. What happens?
So it was Mother's Day of, I'm going to guess and say 2014. No, it would have had to be
2012, probably.
2012, 2013. It was one of those. He was 4.5, 5. And I basically reach out to her and I apologize because I was not easy to deal with. I admitted that I was wrong because I was. I let her know that, like, I'm doing better. I'm working. I don't know if I told her I'm on methadone. I don't know. Probably not.
Where are you working at this point?
JR's granddad's tow truck service.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. 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 I'm working there with the friend who took me into the storage unit and got me high.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And they'll see this, and I know they'll love to know that this is all intertwined.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Those are more God winks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It always is. And there's another big God wink coming. So from the outside looking in, things are good. And honestly, things were good. Like, I would get up in the morning, I would get my methadone, I would go to work, and I would come home. I loved movies. Really wasn't living too much of an active lifestyle, video games or whatever, but, you know, I'm there. I'm at home. I'm not going to jail. That's a big win right there.
Mm-hmm. Big step for a young man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think she asked my parents, you know, or whatever happened, but she was like, okay, you can see him. So, oh man, you know, I got pictures of the night. We were in Memphis and we went to this little arcade and we rode go-karts and we played, you know, video games, and, you know, key things stand out. But I remember him calling me Will. And she said, no, that's your dad. You know, but that was the reality I had to live with at that moment, was my son knew me as Will.
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough, you know. But by the end of the night, he just wanted to be beside me. You know, he's got his dad in his life.
By the end of the night, was he calling you dad?
Yeah. Yeah. And he was just having fun. You know, little...
4.5 years old.
Yeah, little kid just running around a huge arcade with his dad.
Yeah. You've been waiting 4.5 years for that moment.
I like to say he has and she has.
Yeah.
You know, because I was just dodging it. I couldn't deal with it.
Way to phrase that, by the way. Yeah.
But, you know, I wanted it deep inside, but these things are not allowing me to be who I want to be. They are the primary focus. You have got to, you know, my first counselor said addiction is a guy behind you with a gun saying you're about to do whatever I tell you to do.
Right.
And that's it. And I felt that. So I did whatever it told me to do. But on the deep inside, those moments when you're alone, you're like, this is not where I belong. This is not who I'm intended to be. This is not what Tyson deserves. This is not what.
And you're caught in it, though.
Yeah. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. But Google, right? To me, that's what I thought. And I'll tell you in a little bit why I didn't believe in treatment. But she says, so not sure what happens after that, but in a week or so, I'm calling him. I'm talking to him. He's, Dad, I love you. And she says, guess what? That was Christmas. So for some reason, we may have seen each other a few more times in between, but I do know that summer she allowed me to keep him. And that's huge.
Core memories right there.
Yes. Yeah. We're grilling out. I'm still working. I'm still on methadone.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's mowing the yard with me. He's racing BMX. So I'm getting to teach a kid how to race bikes, right? I'm racing with him.
What a full circle moment.
Yeah, I'm able to ride a bike with him. I'm a little on methadone, so it's a little weird, weird feeling. But it's going good, And like he's forming this bond with my stepdad that he already had. Now, during this whole time, my stepdad's going and picking him up. They're racing BMX. I'm just not allowed to be there. There was a Thanksgiving where there's a huge race called the Grand Nationals. I'm at home on Thanksgiving, with no parents, no kid, nothing, because they're off racing. But that's great. I just wasn't in the mind frame to be there. Nobody wanted me around, rightfully so. But we enjoy that summer together. Core memories, like you said. And I don't know what led up to what happens next, but
you do end up getting a big charge, and you're going to jail at this point.
Yeah.
And you're on a high dose of methadone every day.
Okay, so that's what happened. So sometime...
I'm glad that I could be here to remind you.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, you know it better. You know me better than me. 2015. Okay. So 2015, I'm at work at the tire shop, the wrecker service, and it's a Tuesday, and I get a call from my grandma that tells me my dad has passed away. Okay. So what had happened was he had went to treatment. He had got out. The day he got out, he linked up with some guys. They went a couple of counties over and he overdosed one day after treatment. And that was on a Saturday. Now, my dad had been an addict and alcoholic my whole life. He had been to the treatment center that shortly coming up that I attended when I was younger, right? But I always saw him go to treatment. He would show up looking great, but within a week, he's doing the same old stuff.
Do you think he was really trying to get better, or?
Yeah, I think I felt a lot of what he felt like. What I think is that he never got honest with himself. And I think that he harbored all of these horrible feelings he had towards family, and he never forgave. And his only solution was alcohol. I think that there was so much resentment inside of him, and maybe he didn't want to talk about it. Maybe he didn't get honest with himself. Maybe he didn't get honest with somebody else, and he just held on to this poison that only alcohol could fix.
And this overdose, it didn't give him a full chance to realize that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. He followed the wrong people the day after treatment.
Gosh, man.
And found himself in a situation, and I'm like, well, treatment don't work. But also looking back on it, I never really knew much about him. I'd only heard good things because when he was sober or before all the drugs and alcohol had become as intense as they are, he was a good football player. He was a good golfer. He told me he loved me all the time, and I believe that he did, right? And So I knew him as a good person.
And but you didn't know him very well.
Right. I didn't know what he was really struggling with. So these are things that I find out on my own personal journey of recovery.
Yeah.
Right. Because he never got to see me be sober. And I never got to talk sobriety with him. But I knew he loved meetings. One of our mutual friends, Pops, used to take him to meetings. So I knew he tried. And like everybody said, they loved him. What was it? We'll never know.
That overdose really, really just took all that away, man. Like
Yeah.
He really, just that fateful day. I'm just sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I know that like overdose at that point wasn't as common. So it's like, what was it?
It had to have been some sort of heroin or.
So I asked my Nana, I said, what was in his system? And she said, well, everything.
So he had like a balls to the wall, I'm out of treatment.
That's how he did
hanging
it.
out with
Balls
these
to the
dudes.
wall, baby. Listening to the Eagles. I hope he, passed away because that's what we did.
Yeah.
We spent plenty of nights together doing some cocaine and drinking and listening to the Eagles.
So I guess, two recovering people talking to each other about this situation. I mean, he technically he died with his boots on.
Yeah.
He was doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah. 52 years old.
It's just, man, so young, so
It's horrible. It's horrible.
And I'm sorry to move forward with this, but like, how do you end up in jail again? And
Okay. So that's 2015. So the one who took his place when I was 2 years old, who married my mom, is my stepdad, right? Who stayed in the relationship forever, right? Well, he owned a plumbing company. He was our, means of like financial backbone. He died from cancer in 2016. And my numbers may be off, but it almost seems like it happened within the next 6 months. And I think it did. Yep, shortly after my dad died. So now the money's gone, right? Now the security, the everything is just being thrown up in the air, right? Now I'm back to, I got a lifestyle and I quit my job because at this point I'm mixing things with the methadone. I'm chasing another feeling. This is too much. This reminds me of what just happened when I was in high school. So now I'm chasing the feeling, right? So I'm mixing other drugs with the methadone. I'm out at night. Sadly, pushed my son to the side. Pushed my job to the side.
You're fully back out there.
Fully back out there. And I can't remember the charge at this point. And I think, honestly, I was still on probation. But it was something that, yes, landed me in jail again on 120 milligrams of methadone.
So you're in, I've heard this story a few times.
Yeah.
For the listeners, you end up in jail. You're on 120 milligrams of methadone. They put you in a straitjacket, what you refer to as the turtle suit.
The turtle suit, yeah. Mad County. Yeah. CJC, Jackson, Tennessee's jail. Go in, I know. Because there's been days where I was a little too hungover because I'm drinking too. And I missed my methadone clinic, right? And they weren't giving me log boxes because I can't pass a drug test. Like, there's everything in my pee. And they're like, you've got to stop or we're about to kick you out. But like I said, I'd formed that relationship with counselors, so they would have hated to done that. But here we go, into jail, and I know what to expect. And I asked them, hey, I'm on methadone. What are you going to do for me to keep me from being sick? And they tell me nothing. And I freak. And I may have rang the bell, for the straitjacket. I'm sure I did. And for the next 72 hours, I laid in a concrete cold cell with nothing but that on. No mat, no pillow, no cover, a turtle suit.
The straitjacket?
The straitjacket.
And you said it's like 60 degrees.
Dude, it's really the coldest room I've ever been in.
It probably felt especially cold.
Yeah, I'm hallucinating. Yeah, like I'm at the most frantic spot I've ever been in my life. Sick, all the symptoms of an opioid withdrawal, and by myself.
And you said that they were giving you food at this point, but you weren't eating because you weren't hungry.
Turning that down. No. Chili Mac?
You wouldn't turn down Chili Mac now.
No, I'd love to have it. That was actually the best meal. I'd take some Chili Mac. But, yeah, dude, I couldn't even imagine eating. Like, that's, you know.
You're sweating, you're shaking, you're hallucinating.
I'm faking injuries. I think I hit myself against the toilet. Like, whatever you can think of, that's what I was doing because I thought I need to get out of it. Like, I need to get out. I don't know. I'm exhausting all options.
So you're in that room for 72 hours. Does it get better
Yeah,
after
it
that
starts
3
to get a
days?
little bit better.
And then they move you somewhere else.
Yeah, they have a lady come by from a local psych unit and ask me, "Are you safe?" And I said, "Yeah." You know, by this point, the initial 3 days, it wore off, the frantic. I'm still sick, you know, but it's manageable and it's not as intense. So I'm like, I need to get to a pod, you know, and I get to that pod and I can't remember the charge. I can't remember when the court date came, but I just know I got out. And when I got out,
How long were you in the pod for?
there's no telling, 2 weeks maybe. You know, at this point, I'm on felony diversions, so I'm seeing a circuit court judge. So the way that works is when you go to jail, you don't see a judge the next day. You've got to wait, you know, for that judge to appear in court. So that could have been 30 days, or it could have been 20 days, or whatever,
So
right?
you're waiting.
I'm just waiting, yeah.
And you're not feeling great.
No, horrible. So I see that judge and I get out.
When you get out at this point, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Do you start wanting to be in recovery again at this point, or like what happens?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I get back out and I say, okay, we're not going to do methadone, but we're going to go back to the pills, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my stepdad had just passed, so it's me in my mom's house, and I get introduced to the hard stuff, heroin and meth, simultaneously. March of 2016. My stepdad passed away in January, so shortly after that is when I started doing that. I'm going hard, you know. I am now an IV drug user. Yeah. He was a diabetic, so that's something I did on my own. I remember just having my stuff with me at home and seeing his pills in the or his syringes, and I said, I'm about to do it this way. You know, that became the only way I would do it.
It's embedded in your brain at this point. You find weed and figure out how to use it yourself, right? Your very first use. Now you see these syringes.
Yeah.
You have that same thought, that
Yeah.
same feeling. The same processes are happening years later.
Right. Never thought of it that way. And it's so much easier to cross that line in the sandbox now. You know?
I like this analogy.
It is. It's no longer fear. My dad is gone. My stepdad is gone. My son is, I'm not seeing him anymore.
Gone again.
Right. Friends are gone. The only people I have that are close to me are the ones who are doing this drug. So here I am, you know, and that's what I'm doing, and that creates even crazier of a lifestyle, and I'm doing whatever. And one night, I didn't have a way to get what I want. So I go and steal a truck from the tow truck service.
From JR's dad's place.
From JR's granddad's spot.
Granddad's place.
Yeah. Yeah. And for viewers' purposes, I've always stuck to this, but that is the truth. And I did go make amends to them. But I would have brought the truck back, right? But I didn't get the chance to. The police brought the truck back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they caught you in the truck.
Yeah. So
How'd
I'm
that
back.
happen?
Oh boy, that's a crazy story. I flipped out. I'm high on meth. I'm seeing things, right? So I go on this imaginary cop chase.
You're driving, tripping out.
I see police behind me. This is going to be so funny for the people who see this because they know. A lot of people know this story. I pick up a guy at 3 a.m. Of course, we see a fellow meth head at 3 a.m., right? That I know while I'm on pursuit of getting these drugs. I pick him up. I say, hey, man, you know where to get some stuff at, right? He's like, yeah, dude. I go to a trailer in South Jackson where a guy is cooking meth. And he tells me that I need to get my life together because of I'm at that point I'm breaking in things. I'm doing a lot of crazy stuff, right? And
You're out of
out of my mind. I'm gone. And I tell him what I just did, and that's when he looks at me while he's cooking dope and tells me, you're going to go to prison if you don't get your life together. This is 5 a.m., okay? By 6 a.m., we're at a park to where we're meeting another guy. They see how sketchy I am, and they both dip. And here I am in a stolen truck with stolen stuff in it, and I get tripped out. And I think, those guys just called the cops on me. So I see unmarked cars pulling into the park, and I just gas it. I'm going down a dirt road that I have never been to before. I pull into an abandoned house, what I thought was abandoned. I get out. I wait for these imaginary cops to go by. I get back in the truck, and I back it into a 20-foot ditch. Now I'm really, really, really tripping out.
20-foot ditch. That's a big ditch.
I mean, dude, I'm looking up, and I'm trying to get it out. It's not getting out.
I mean, you could have died right
I could have died, yeah. I think I was too high to die, you know? Like, you would have took something.
I'm sure it's
a nuclear bomb.
many times.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm not going yet. I'm looking outside, right? I'm in full surrender mode. I throw the keys out of the truck. I'm laying on the ground. I really believe there's cops out there, okay?
But there's literally no cops out there.
There's nobody.
Okay.
I lay there until they get there, and they get there. The homeowner sees me, right? Calls the cops. The first guy to flip me over with a shotgun was in my graduating class at Northside. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And he says, Drury, what the hell are you doing? And I said, well, I was waiting on y'all.
Did you recognize it was him?
I knew it was him the minute I flipped over.
Did you think you were tripping out still at that point?
No, I knew it was real.
Okay.
That shotgun was real.
Okay.
And there I am, right? Stolen truck. God knows what's in it. We had a nice talk on the way back to jail. And he'll know who he is if he ever sees this. But he tells me, Will, you're so likable. You're so lovable. It's time. You know, it is time, right? Mm-hmm. Like, turn this around. I've never been to treatment, only been to the clinic. I've only done this. Life's in a mess. I'm in jail. I've got all kind of charges, right? I'm on probation in 2 counties. I've got a warrant in another one. Just a mess. And I remember trying to talk my way out of it, but there was this kid back then, they would actually transport you from the jail to the city court building, and you would see a judge, right? But during the meantime, you're waiting in this cage in the back, and we're all in there, 20 to 30 to 40 people in there at once. And I'm trying to argue with the DA. She's like, you've got to wait 3 months because you're on circuit, blah, 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 and all these things. And he just says, you need to pray. This little kid behind me, I have no idea who he is, but he says, you need to pray. Mind you, I've come from a Christian background, right? I know who God is, haven't talked to him in a long time. So I say, well, what do I say? He said, you need to ask for God's will to be done. So that's all I said. God, let your will be done. The DA.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, come on. We need you. I've done the foxhole prayers and all of that, but I earnestly meant, God, let your will be done. And he said, that means no matter what, if you've got to sit in this jail cell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if whatever else happens. But
So you think that you're maybe going away for 3 months or longer?
Or longer.
Yeah.
Stolen property. They were investigating me at the time. They were trying to tie me to other things. Like, I had no clue what was about to happen. But the DA came back and Gene, JR's granddad, seen me. So they hadn't seen me in a little while, right? And by now I'm 100. You've seen the picture.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 117 pounds, fully strung out, unrecognizable. And they said he needs help. So he makes a deal with the DA. It's his truck.
Mm-hmm.
He says, we're wanting to drop all the charges, but only if he goes to treatment.
And you don't believe in treatment at this point?
No, but I'll believe in it if it gets me out. Oh. So there's a chance I can get out? Because guess what I wanted to do? Get high.
Hell yeah.
And that's what happened. I went to Aspel in Jackson, Tennessee.
How long were you at Aspel for?
I was there, had a little slip up, but I was there about 4 years. Yeah. I went there for 6 months. I got introduced to the program. I was doing it for all the wrong reasons, but that seed was planted.
Amazing thing that it was planted.
Yeah. Because I went back out for about 2 months and I knew who to call when it got bad again. And I called them. And that was in July of 2017. And there's a lot of things that happened there, a lot of God moments.
What was different then with this?
So it was funny because the first time was like this brand new thing, right? And it was exciting going to a meeting and there being like 50, 75 people and everybody's laughing and you're making friends, and it's cool. And we're talking about these stories that like I've never heard someone else share.
And you're like, I found my people in a whole different way. 'Cause
Yes.
You found your people with weed and
Right.
dirt biking.
Right.
You found your new crew.
New crew.
Yeah.
My best friend, who is still my best friend today. He's there and he's cool and he looks like me and he has a son my age, right? And he's not boring. My idea of a meeting was like 70-year-olds sitting around drinking coffee,
Same thing with me.
Yeah. But no, these dudes are cool.
And I always thought that those old guys were miserable too.
Yeah, and they are.
And they are.
Yeah. Some of them. But this is cool. This is exciting. I went to a YPAW, Young People of AA. That's wild.
Yeah.
They're chugging Red Bulls. They're having a rave. There's glow sticks, right? And like dancing and like all this cool stuff. But as soon as that dance is over, guess what? We're in a meeting. And that same person that I just saw twerking, she's talking about making amends to her family with experience of doing it,
And is this any relation to Tiki Paw?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And tell the listeners what that is too.
Yeah, so Tiki Paw for us is a Tennessee Conference of Young People of AA. So each year they'll have a conference in a city, right, selected by whoever wins that bid,
And speakers. Recovery fund.
24-hour meetings, starting Friday until Sunday.
So dope.
Every hour there's a meeting, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I found my people there. I found this group in Memphis that was like, my buddy, one of them, he's my twin, but he looks just like me, right? And at the time, I guess he was 28 years old, but he had 10 years of sobriety. There was a girl who stood up at the roll call who was 16 who had 2 years of sobriety. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, dude. Real recovery.
That's huge.
Right. These people knew the principles of the program. They knew how to conduct a business meeting, right? They knew the traditions. They knew the steps. They sponsored men. They sponsored women.
You're getting introduced to the steps at this point and sponsorship and
Yeah.
big book.
Yeah, so that second treatment stay, what was different was I was looked at as like intel. I was of service with 3 days sober because I'm at a treatment center that people knew was my second time. So first timers are asking me, what do I expect? What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. What's the sponsor? What's this meeting? What's AA? What's NA, right? I'm of service. So I took on this like new responsibility, and I seen my purpose. And my purpose then was just to like help alleviate this guy's nerves, right? But my purpose grew. And my cousin, who grew up racing BMX with me, had just gotten out of Cumberland Heights. And he was the only one. My mom visited me. My mom I love her to death. My mom, during this whole thing, we haven't talked about her much, but she was there, even when she didn't want to be. She loved me.
Good on Mom.
Yes.
Through all the bullshit.
All the bullshit, dude. Tons of it. So much of it. But she's there.
Good on you, Mrs. Drury.
Yes, absolutely. But I wanted him to come visit me. She came and visited me my first time, right? But this is the second time. Something's different. I'm like turning into a man, and looking back on it, I can feel it and see it, right?
And she sees it.
Yeah. So my cousin comes and visits me. And like I said, that was July of 2017. So Tiki Paul was January of 2018. And that's where I met my sponsor. And strangely enough, that became his sponsor. So we worked the steps together. So for the next however long, we're meeting over at Justin's house, and we're working the steps, the three of us. I'm working the steps with my cousin, who I looked up to my entire life. Looking back on it, is the only father figure I've got at that moment. And he might not know that he was a father figure, but he reminded me of my stepdad. He was close with my stepdad. He was like 4 years older than me, right? But he's the reason I stuck around right then. And then I'm allowing this program to work inside of me and not realizing what it's doing, you know. But I'm growing up, and I'm doing what's suggested. I'm in meetings every day. Every day.
Did you do the 90 and 90?
Oh, yeah. For the next 3 years, I'm as involved with AA as you can be.
Dude, hats off to you. That's huge.
Yeah, chairing meetings. We had a men's group. So I'm at the men's group because that's where my sponsor went. I'm doing the things he suggests. I'm hanging on to newcomers. I'm showing up early. I'm leaving late. I'm working the steps. I'm doing as thorough of a 4-step as I can do. I told him there's like 3 things in my life that I never wanted to share with anyone. I told him. I confided in this guy. Every little thing that went wrong, I called him about. I'm sure it was annoying, but like I said, you know, he's turned into now my best friend. You know, and I've seen his daughter be born, seen his son be born. They know me, they love me, like they know me, you know, as like Uncle Will, right?
And at this point, is Tyson back in your life when you're?
Yes. So, 2018, life's getting good. Let's talk on that. So I'm in Savannah. I went from Aspel Jackson to Savannah, and I remember calling her, his mom. And I'm thinking, oh boy, because up until this point, it's a little pain pill, right? It's drugs and alcohol. It's never doing what I was doing. And I'm like, she is not gonna let me see my son. Well, I don't know when it had happened, but she had lost a cousin to an overdose around the same time that I go to jail and go to treatment and all this is going on. And she's like, Will, it's okay. You're here. Like, you're alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a huge bit of grace from her.
That's it. And she's always had a huge amount of grace for me. So
You're
I'm
lucky. You're lucky.
Yes, I'm lucky. Oh, yes. Like, not only lucky in that sense, but lucky in how she has raised him when I wasn't there. Because he's the best kid.
Well said.
You know?
Because mothers are, I mean, having a child now.
Yeah.
And seeing that, you know, the baby comes out and the mom just knows what to do. It's instinctual.
She has redirected her entire life for them children, you know?
Yeah.
And it's showing. Like, they're such good kids. So she did that and allowed me to come in with no tabs, you know? And has never thrown this stuff up in my face. But I did make that commitment once again.
Right.
Tyson, I'm going to be there, you know? And I was the best I could be. But I'm FaceTiming him while I'm in treatment. When I get out, he had soccer games. I would drive to Mississippi and see his soccer games. She was allowing me to bring him back home once I got. So that's another reason my sponsor is so incredible, is I'm in a halfway house, and he's allowing me and my son to stay the night with him. So God just was showing out, right? Because Josh had a son who was Tyson's age. So they're getting to stay up in the room and play video games and stuff while they're like young. And I don't have a clue how to be a dad, so I'm getting to watch him because he's a few steps ahead of me. He got his son back in his life when he was like 5.
That's so incredible that you're getting this crash course in life from this dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll never forget like telling him, hey, Josh, I'm nervous. I don't know how to be a dad. And, oh, man. You know, like him being able, like it was so crazy because he goes, Will, I was in your shoes, man. You know? Like literally the same exact thing happened. And he had an apartment at the same treatment facility that had an empty bedroom that he created for his son, right? These things that I'm getting to follow suit. And have him there to just show me the way, right? It all worked out. Like I almost feel selfish because I almost feel like God loved me too much. You know, like this is insane. The same guy, I didn't go into detail about all the things that I had done, but I wasn't a good person. You know, and here you are showing me this love immediately.
God is showing you the exact amount of love you deserve.
Yeah.
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 I can see how you can think that, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Unworthy. Instead, he had his hand on me the entire time. And was there. As soon as I turned and said, you know, I'm ready, he laid out the path. It was beautiful.
And I have to say, a little time out here, your social media posts, my favorite of yours are when Tyson's back from Florida, or you go to Florida to go see him, and you guys are mowing lawns together. You're going to games. You're going to the beach. Like, just see you have this life, because I know a bit of your history is just it's so beautiful and
it's
unbelievable.
insane, dude.
Among
it's crazy.
Among all of this,
Yeah.
JR's granddad,
Yeah.
he showed you a bit of grace because he had maybe this little piece of faith in you that you could get better.
Yeah.
What do you want people to understand about somebody in your situation, like when you were in active addiction? You know, but anybody that's in that situation that can give somebody some grace, family member, friend, whatever.
Yeah, you know, I didn't ever expect the handouts to keep being there, so I took advantage of them while they were there. And that's my story. I don't know what would have happened if I kept abusing them. So the message is stick your hand out for help, but the message to the person needing the help is take advantage of that. You know? Because I want to say keep helping. And we should, because of this story, because of your story, because of many of these stories where these people turned out, you know, to be who we knew they would.
What do you say, though, to somebody that's maybe a family member that has been through so much shit on and off? And there does, I mean, in some stories, does come a time where they've had enough. They have to draw a boundary.
And that's when they do. But they introduce them to people like us. And that's why we do what we do, right? You love them from a distance. My mom loves me more than probably anything in this world. But there was a time she got up out of that hospital room and walked away. And I know, man, damn, Johnny, I didn't know I was going to get so upset. But anyway, I know that it killed her walking down that hall. And I'm sure she cried. And I'm sure she had no clue what to do. But that was the moment that I realized I didn't have anywhere to go. You know? So that's when I took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of me. And I said, I can't leave here. As much as I want to run, I can't. I don't know where I'm going to go. So tough love. Pray for him. I know she was praying for me. But that's a good mix, right, to have. It's like the boundary and the people that can guide these people, you know, to what we have now.
Dude, I couldn't have said that better. I think it is healthy to draw boundaries where they need to be, because there are certain points for families, friends, whatever, where they're enabling the person if they continue them down that path.
That's right.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I don't want this to end.
No.
But
no, it's been good.
Dude, I appreciate you for so much of what you do and what you shared.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a crime mess over here.
Me too, man. This is great, though.
But thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I one last question.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to be over.
Yeah.
You've turned this new purpose into helping people.
Yeah.
That have walked down the same road that you have. You know, I have too, but this isn't about me. Like, what drives you to keep doing it? Because I know some days are hard, especially in business development and marketing. We can get lost in the numbers. We can get, and it's not maybe on us, but it's just we want to strive to be better. We want to help everyone.
Yeah.
You know, like when you wake up in the morning, if you've had a long week, a long month, a long day, like what makes you go forward and be like, all right, I got to put my big boy pants on.
There's one story when we were both at the same job.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a woman who I was trying to help, and she was a lot like me. And I would go to meet the family to pick her up, and she wouldn't show. Okay. This is like the fourth time going to pick this woman up. And she finally calls me and she says, Will, I know you're probably not going to believe this, but I will meet you there again tomorrow and I will go to treatment. She was there. Okay. Mm-hmm. This woman's a wreck, a whole mess. Okay. She goes to treatment, and like we do, so I want to say that's the passion, but it also gets like overwhelming when day in, day out, you're just dealing with a lot of people at ground zero, right? And a lot of times I direct them to the trusted place that I know will fit them the best, and I might not ever hear from them again. You know? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those people who I have heard from, though, who have went on to do great things, right? They're sober.
Absolutely.
They're doing great. But because of our job, we're kind of like, okay, we've got you a good place to go. Here you are, hand off to the appropriate people, right? And on to the next one that's needing some help. But this one, I get a letter, and I keep that letter in my wallet. But the same mess that probably was counted out by every family member she had, you know, and me included, because she didn't show up the first 3 times. One of our mutual friends, Brendan, he was a big part of all this. That girl is at his sober living right now doing great, you know, and I get a picture on Thanksgiving last year of her with all of her family, you know, and she just thanked me for picking her up, for getting her help, and she tells me how good life is, you know, and I just remember that on them days where, like, I'm extremely stressed or I'm overwhelmed or I haven't had a break, which is all good things. That's good for the business, right? The phone keeps ringing. I remember this is a calling. It's not a job, you know? And this is what we were called to do. And I take care of myself so I can be who they need me to be.
Yeah, burnout happens.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
But we take care of ourselves. We find the things to, like, refill us back up, refill our cup, you know.
Working out.
Yeah, pickleball.
Now golf.
Yeah.
I've had an amazing time playing golf with you lately.
Yes. So
And
we do those, right?
yeah.
And we feel good. And I do want to say this for anybody listening, you know, that a lot of times, like, your job and my job and other people's jobs are based on, like, you got to meet this certain criteria for us to help you. you know, with the companies that we work for or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But, you know, when I was in that jail and that judge said, we're going to allow him to treatment, I had no insurance. You know, I had no money. I was homeless. I had no vehicle. I had nothing. Okay. I was the one that may have been sent out in a group text or an email that said, can you help this guy? Right?
And somebody grabbed it.
Somebody grabbed it. So my key focus in all of this that I do is, yes, the company I work for might not be able to help that person, but someone can. And I do believe that, like, personal growth and success and be able to make this job as spiritual as can be is we say yes to everyone that comes through our phone, you know, and we help them. Because I'm not trying to, like, toot my own horn, but look at what it turned into, right? We never know.
Right.
We never know.
We worked together 3 years ago. You didn't really know how to do this at all. And now look at you. You're a national rep for almost the last 2 years.
Yeah.
In multiple states.
Yeah.
Unlimited resources. I come to you for resources now.
Yeah.
And you are a resource now because you do have a sober living. So amongst all this stuff, tell us about that.
Yes. So I had an idea that I wanted to create a safe household for men to transition into, you know, because where I'm from, there's a couple that allow a lot of things, and it's hindering guys, you know?
Yeah.
So I was watching the movie Forge on Netflix, and it's about mentorship, and it's about using God, and I could take both because I'm a Christian and I have AA, and I combine these things, and it works. So I created Forge Recovery Home, you know? And
I did not know that's how you got the name.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's basically, the name is a resemblance of iron on iron. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another, you know?
Right.
And that's what we do. And and it's going well, you know, and that's what it is, right? It's a place that I can tell that person when he's coming in, hey, look, you know, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to have to get a job, and you're going to have to attend these meetings, and there's things you're going to have to do. But the one thing you never have to worry about is people getting high in here. You know, like, you're safe.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, you're safe. You've got my number. I've got a guy who kind of runs the home because I'm busy a lot of times. He's in recovery. He's a great dude. They confide in him, you know. And right now, we've got a full house with guys ranging from 2 to 3 months sober to a year, you know. So it's going well.
Dude,
Yeah.
super congrats on that.
Thank you.
And I hope listeners out there get to hear this, because a lot of our friends know your story, but I'd love for this to get out there further, because you are a shining example of what can happen when someone doesn't fully give up on you. You don't fully give up on yourself.
That's right.
And I love you to death.
Love you, man.
And thank you so much for today.
Yeah, of course.
Love you, brother.
Love you.